Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. So today we have a customer job. This is a very nice HP laptop, a very recent i7 13th generation, very nice laptop. So it came here for liquid damage. Supposedly the clear water, not sparkling water, completely flat clear water was spilled on it, and I don't know anything other than that because I literally got this laptop when I was driving. The customer just handed it to me. So first thing that I do, as you can see, I already took it off. I took the back cover off. There's 4 screws over here and 2 screws here, right? And that's how I like to do it. So I want to do the visual inspection before I connect the power. I already have the power prepared. 19.7 volts on the power supply, 3 amps. And this is what I normally see people do. Just, let's plug it in, let's see what it does. But my theory is that you can only damage the laptop. In best case scenario, you're just not going to do any damage. But it's not like you're going to help the situation by putting some current through it. If there's short, you're just going to keep pumping current through that short. So why not open it and do a visual inspection first? And especially in liquid damage case. Now, you don't actually need a scope to see the damage here, but let's try here. So this, oh my god, this is worse than I thought. We're not gonna see much with the ring light. This is a lot worse than I thought. So supposedly this was water that damaged it. Oh, so what do you think? It almost looks like there was something soldered on here and it just evaporated, turned into ashes. But I doubt that's the case. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's something soldered on here. It's just what's this anyway? So here, this is not done. Let's do it this way. So this damage is here, right, on this board, right? Our power supply, or the input voltage, goes through here. This is our main connector, and there's no damage over here, at least no liquid damage that I can see. So it's only this little, oh come on, catch focus, this little board over here, right? So we could just, this is just USB, probably just USB, so you could just replace this little board and that'll be easy. But that's not the end of the liquid damage. I probably can't see it just yet, but here we have 2 coils. I see some driver chips, or maybe, no, these 2 are MOSFETs, and there's a liquid damage here as well. So let's see, because this one is much more concerning because it's on the main board, right? Not the attached USB board. And this is what we have over here. Also pretty extensive damage. Yeah, so this is not a MOSFET. This looks like some kind of chip. This looks like a MOSFET, but it's hard to say with all this gunk around it. This definitely doesn't look like a MOSFET, which is something that you would expect. Is going directly to the coil, so you would expect this to be a MOSFET, right? Here we have a clear connection to the coil. So maybe this is like two MOSFETs in one package. Could be. And the rest goes to the speakers. These are speakers. Okay, and that was a phone call from a client, which I had to actually drop because that's the device I'm using to record the sound. Okay, so what we're gonna do first, we're gonna disconnect this little board, the USB board that has clear signs of liquid damage, because we don't need the USB for now, just to isolate the problem. Then I guess we're just gonna clean this and check for shorts. I expect some of these caps might be shorted, but it's very possible that just cleaning it alone will get this to work. Let's see. Alright, so here we have a case of a laptop that's self-diagnosed and self-repaired. So when I was measuring this cap, I don't know if you noticed, probably not because it was probably sped up 8 times, but when I was measuring this cap, I made there was a spark here, right? And the spark was because I connected the shorted cap to this line over here, right? And the battery was still connected. So this cap was heating up until one of the terminals disconnected. So the laptop just kind of self-diagnosed and self-fixed. Well, obviously we need to remove this cap and replace it, but there is no short. Not anymore, at least. There was short, because we can see by this cap. Luckily, these traces are pretty big, so they supplied enough current for this capacitor to just melt away instead of melting the board or burning the traces. So that was lucky. I was pretty lucky. Now, let's just quickly remove the cap and test the laptop and see if it turns on, because just because there's no short doesn't mean it's all good. And now connecting. We have 80, it dropped to 4, 7, 4. Okay, no short. I was expecting 12, so maybe it's not working, but we'll see. Oh, a grain of rice. There, a grain of rice. So I know what the customer did after the liquid damage. Good thinking. Good thinking. Okay, now, so we had nothing. So the on light did turn on for a second, and it went dead again. But this might be, we'll see. Yeah, the light is on. Let's get 1 amp, and it dies. Okay, so let's test the theory, because some laptops will not turn on without the battery. Let's see if it's gonna start charging. It is charging, 2 amps. 2 amps, so it is charging. Now let's see if it will turn on now. Oh. Okay, that means it needs more than 3 amps. Let's give it 3 amps, more than 3 amps. Oh, but if the battery is completely discharged, that would make sense. Let's give it 4 amps. There's nothing on the display. 60 watts. And it came with 45-watt charger. And it's consuming 60. Not, I gotta close the window. Why do these people have to have such noisy cars? Okay, still consuming 60 watts, I think. No, it's not running because the CPU is getting hot. So I think we have a display issue now. And we can confirm that by connecting external monitor, I guess. Okay, now the power went down to 39 watts. A little less than 2 amps. The CPU fan still is not turning on, while the CPU itself is getting warm. So the laptop is working. No, it looks like it's shut down now. Let's try this again. Oh, now it won't. It won't turn on now. Let's let it charge for a little bit, and so the battery is recharged, and check in a second. There is no liquid damage on the screen connector. So I was kind of expecting that would be the only issue. I doubt that disconnecting this USB board is causing any issues. That would be very unusual, but it is possible. Now it stopped charging as I pressed the power button. Now it's taking just 2 milliamps, so like kind of a standby. That is so unusual. And now it's no longer charging the battery, but is it possible that the battery was charged? I mean, now it's charged. So no voltage on the BIOS. We do have 5 volts. These, I assume 3.3. But we do have 1.8 here, and that's usually what the BIOS wants. It's either 1.8 or 3.3. And this one is not getting voltage. Okay, so once we find out what this chip is, we might know what should be the capacitance of this capacitor, because it might be a configuration capacitor, although usually it's configuration resistors. I don't think I've ever seen a capacitor being a configuration component, but it is possible. However, so what happened so far? The laptop did turn on, it started charging the battery, so it had all the voltages present, right? But we had no image on the screen. And CPU was heating up, so it must have been working. Why would it not work now? Or why would it work for a little while and stop? The answer might be on the other side of the board. I don't think this was our issue, but worth a shot. What I really want to find is the BQ chip, because that's what's going to tell me what's wrong with it. But we do get 5 volts, so that is a little concerning. And we have nothing on these. But if there is no voltage on the BIOS chip, there's no way this computer is gonna boot. This is our power connector. This is where we get our 19 volts. This might be our BQ equivalent, who knows. There's a big MOSFET here. Two big MOSFETs. Yeah. But if we have 5 volts present, there's not going to be any issues here. But let's just quickly check them for shorts. Gate source. Good. Drain source. Good. Drain source. Good. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything wrong over here, because that would prevent the whole laptop from turning on. Okay, here we have a battery connector. So this MOSFET here will either turn on the voltage from the power supply to the battery or not. And there's no short here. That's the current sense resistor. We have missing capacitor here, but that's fine. Keyboard now, and mouse connectors. So probably should be somewhere here. Oh, there's still corrosion here. Yeah. Okay, this could be our problem. I missed that. Yeah, beautiful corrosion. And we're gonna have to reflow some of these, I guess. That's the fuse for the screen. Over here. Oh, come on. This guy. Let's see if it's... Yeah. The fuse is good, and there's another fuse here. Fuses are good. Because that would explain why we didn't see the image on the screen. But that's the least of our worries right now, because the laptop now is dead. There you go. We have oh no, that's 64 ohms on this MOSFET here. So that's our problem. But it's weird that it did work for a little while, and now it started shorting. Right? That's the weird stuff. But we have our culprit. Now we just need to figure out if it's N channel or P channel. Let's see what we can read on it. No, that's not going to tell us anything. We need to Google this one. But this shorted MOSFET will definitely cause the laptop to not turn on. So this must have gotten shorted during my testing, which is kind of weird, but possible. And let's check between the drain, or well, the source probably here, and the gate. Yeah, the gate is fine. It's only the 66 ohms. Now, what is the possibility that there is something else on the line shorted here that is in parallel with this with drain source? Probability is very low. Very low. Because these two MOSFETs control this coil, which produces some voltage. Let's see, big diode here. That's close to the CPU. Or, yeah, I know what could have happened. So the CPU could be shorted. If this is the power supply for the CPU, if the CPU was shorted, it could cause this MOSFET to die because it was draining too much power. How do we find out? Let's see if the output of the coil, this is our output, is shorted. It is, yeah, 65 ohms. So this is yeah. Perhaps this MOSFET is good. No, it shouldn't be good. So it goes through. So we have two. Oh, this is dead short here, and not dead short here. So even if we replace this MOSFET, so this goes to pretty much dead short, and here. So this is the drain. This is the source, or at least that's what I think it is. So our drain, so here we are shorted to ground. Oh, we're not? But not here, only here. Not on this side. Yeah, because it goes through this MOSFET. But should this be the ground? Maybe this is ground. Can it be? Yeah, because this could be, so this could be ground, which still doesn't explain 60 ohms over here. So let's get rid of this MOSFET and see if the short is relieved. Now we have 17 ohms, but the board is still hot. So that could explain it. But it looks like it's actually CPU. And we can check the MOSFET itself, but it looks like it's going to be good. Yeah, the MOSFET is fine. So unfortunately, the short is on the other side. So that coil, so that output of the coil, and this one here, yep, 29 ohms to ground. However, this actually could be okay, because this is right by the CPU. Or GPU, especially GPU, can have very low resistance, like in the magnitude of a few ohms. So, let's resolder the guy. Alrighty, so here's my final diagnosis. Well, maybe not final, but at the moment, this is what I suspect. So we have nice 12 volts over here that is charging the battery. The battery is charging with 2 amps. So this part of our board is fine. Our BQ chip is fine. I actually don't know which one it is. It's probably this one over here, but it doesn't really matter because it works. EC chip is fine because the keyboard is working and I can turn on the computer. But as soon as I do, if I have OCP on the power supply on, it detects short and it turns off. If I disable it, it actually just takes like 200 milliamps. Then it starts. So EC chip, or there is a boot procedure, right? It goes through the majority of it. Then it switches to about an amp when it turns on the CPU and gets into the S whatever state it is at 0, and that's when it shuts down. So at the moment I think that the CPU is fried due to liquid damage, but I could be wrong at this point. However, we have a nice SSD over here, so data recovery is not an issue. If I can't figure this out, I'll just find a replacement board, the entire board, and I'll just replace the board, because it's a pretty nice laptop. It's too bad to throw it out. We are also worried about the screen, because we don't know if the screen hasn't been damaged. Right, when the laptop did turn on, the screen was dead, no backlight and no image. So there might be more issues there, but if the CPU is fried, then obviously you're not gonna have an image on the screen. But it is charging, right, consistently with 2 amps, 40 watts. That's roughly what we expect. When we turn it on, it's over 60, so I believe this is not the proper power supply for this machine, especially since it's i7, right? It shouldn't be supplied by 45 watts. It should be 65, at least, in my view, but what do I know? All right, I will step away from this one. This is at least my diagnosis. I'll call the client. I'll recover the data for them and we'll go from there. If I have any ideas, I will make a part 2 to this one, if I do. Otherwise, I thank you guys very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.
Black Horse Repairs, subscribe. You heard me.